I know I'm a little late. It's okay though, cause I got some I got some stuff for you today. You know what I'm saying? So I don't even know what today's date is. But that's okay. That's okay. Um, I was speaking to somebody last night, right? And something just something came about in my mind. I'm like, oh, I think I'm gonna do a podcast on like finding peace because like I was talking to this gentleman for a good hour, and like I'm not a therapist or anything like that. I'm just very good with dealing with emotions, like all the stuff that I had gone through. Um, I had to create like my who I am today, and through that, like I dealt with you know mental illness and physical health and stuff like that. So like I feel like that's a big part of why I'm in like the career that I'm in right now. Um, why I enjoy fighting so much. I think it it calms me because of the like I know the way that I used to be, and I feel like it's very big for me. So like I did a lot of work on different things, different character traits, different emotions to try to put me in this state of peace. And like the real definition. Well, not I don't know if it's the real, but like the dictionary definition of peace is freedom from disturbance and or tranquility. And so with that being said, there's a lot of different aspects that come with finding peace. I posted something on Facebook. Um, talking just like talking about like how peace is a lot easier to get back than it is to achieve it. I feel like once you've achieved true peace and you lose it, only then will you realize you have that peace. Um, it's a content form of mind and body to have inner peace. You have to really be in touch with your inner self, and like I said, that comes with a lot of traits like self love and acceptance and gratitude, humility. There's a lot of different aspects that you have to kind of like knock off from like side angles to really get on the inside of like what's going on with who you are as an individual, what makes you tick and stuff like that. And like this is all off the top of my head. Like every podcast that I ever do, like I never like write a script. I might like take some of this alpha brain right here and get my memory and focus up there just a tad bit. But like I was saying, like none of this is like I don't like sit down in my room for like an hour trying to write down this perfect script. Like I'm human, and I've learned to accept that. Like if I mess up on here, mess up in general, or in life, or with somebody, relationship, friendship, family, it doesn't really matter. Like if I mess up, I'll own up to that, because it's like like I'm human. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. I don't try to be perfect because it's just it's an unrealistic goal that I'll never achieve. And then that ties into like the podcast that I've done before, like setting expectations. Like that's an expectation I'll set on myself, and I'll end up ruining my own happiness because I won't be able to please myself. And that's something that I don't need to do, especially like when I'm at a place where I have peace in my life. But anyways, like on that Facebook post, I said towards the end, like our human form is very much like a car, right? And I love using this scenario when I'm talking to other people, just so that they can picture it, because I feel like it's a lot harder for people to look on the inside of themselves because they always see, their flaws, and that's something that's gonna happen regardless. Like you have to be able to see your flaws, notice them, and realize, okay, like I need to work on my ego or my pride or my anger, or whatever the case may be. But a lot of people, they don't really like to look on the inside. They don't like to they don't like to look in the mirror and see what's looking back at them. And like that's okay, because I was like that for a long time, and now I'm very proud of like who I am when I look at myself in the mirror. um, And I don't care if you don't like me because I like who I am, you know? Like, so if you're in my life and you don't like who I am, I'm not going to change for you, right? Because I spent so many years trying to be something that I wasn't to fit in with other people, you know, and it led me down the wrong path, you know. I was always, I felt like always like the misfit and the people pleaser, and today, like, I have peace, so I'm like, I like who I am. I'm not gonna change anything for you to, you know, try to fit in. If you don't like me, it is what it is, you know. And when I tell people like to listen to this car scenario, I feel like it really helps. So like the outside of your car, right? Like the type of car you own. That's like how you portray yourself to the public, the way you dress, the way you act on social media, the way you're seen from an outside perspective, right? And then once you let someone in, the interior detail would be your personality, how you come off to other people. But none of that really matters, right, if your engine's not working properly, and the engine would be yourself. I feel like the biggest key to peace is acceptance, and like that in itself is its own like thing that you have to deal with. It's not accepting something is not easy, you know, trying to find the silver lining in things, especially like when it's a severe situation, you know, you don't really know how to cope with this said situation, and you can't come to terms that it happened, and there's nothing you can do, you know, because the only reason why I like this car scenario, right, for this specific topic is, say, right, you're in this car, boom, it gets hit by another car. Now you could choose to live in this state of misery and, you know, wow, like my car's totaled and, you know, what am I gonna do? Da, 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 da. Or you could just chalk it up like it is what it is. It happened, you know. Like I can't rewind the time and make this not happen. So how can I go forward about fixing this? You know, it's always like finding that silver lining in something, even when it's very difficult. Like you have to be able to not let your emotions get the best of you, especially when you're reacting towards somebody else. You know, like you're not gonna be able to change the way somebody else is. You could try, and you could try and try again, but 9 times out of 10, it's gonna destroy you trying to create somebody that it's just not there. You know what I mean? You can go be Captain Save-A-Ho, and the only one that you're gonna hurt is yourself. You know, like my favorite line, you know, even growing up as a kid was, you know, like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? Like so, I could give you all these tools, or as I call them, like tools, to create yourself into a better individual. But it's not really up to me to build it for you, right? I'll give you the tools, and then you have to go and build it yourself. So, with that being said, right, you have to start looking at like the outside stuff, right? Because freedom from distractions, what that means is the outside world, right? So like all this noise going on around you, whether it be friends, families, whatever the case may be, right? You have to start knocking those down. And I don't mean like cutting them off. I mean really taking a step to understand why someone's acting the way they're acting, or maybe like why certain situations are like this when you react like this. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're reacting towards a certain situation and the situation is only getting worse, what can you do to step back and reevaluate this whole situation, figure out what your part is, where you went wrong? And a lot of people, they don't like to hear that they're wrong. And like it is what it is, you know, like, you know, that also comes along with acceptance, like knowing when you're right and when you're wrong, you know, and it's okay to be wrong because you're human, you know, like no one's perfect. Please, someone give me somebody who's perfect. You know, the person who has the best, you know, detail from the outside, I guarantee you they have their own problems as well. You know, like no one's perfect. I'm telling you right now. So like, you don't have to believe me. You know, think what you want. You could say you're perfect and this and that, and that's ego driven. You know, because no one's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. Everything happens, and even when bad stuff happens, you have to think of like the silver lining. Like, okay, this happened. I can't change it. It is what it is. What can I do to move forward and or protect my own personal peace? You know, like I've gotten into arguments with someone recently that happened to be my family, and you know, for my peace, I had to just cut it where it was. You know, like I don't need the negative energy in my life. That's cool. Like you want to talk down on something, that's cool. Do your thing. You know, and that doesn't make me like better than anybody else. It's just I know where I stand. I know where my peace is, and I'm not gonna let somebody else ruin it. Like I can't guarantee you that if this certain situation happened in person, I would react the same way that I did over the phone. But you know, even though I hate social media and like everything that it's done for this generation, the one good thing about being able to protect your peace and having a phone is you can choose to stop talking at any time. You don't have to entertain it, right? Because it's just more of a headache, right? So like, if you have a problem with me, I'm not gonna entertain it, right? Because that's your own opinion. That's not my opinion. That's not the opinion of the people who actually care about me, and that's what really matters. Like, people who are willing to do what's best for you, instead of, you know, I feel like a lot of the people too that hate me for reasons as in like, I don't know, I don't want to really get into it because it's not that important, but a lot of these people hate me for the wrong reasons, and that's okay. Like I really don't care, because I've reached this point in my life where I have peace. You know, I believe I said it last podcast, like energy transfer is a real thing. So like I have to cut off like negative energy to protect my own peace, and all these outside disturbances I have to learn to cope with. And I get told a lot like, Anthony, you're very monotone, and it's like I'm not monotone. I'm at such peace, and I really don't give a fuck about what you guys are talking about. You know, like, and it'll happen at work. Like they just, you know, like my coworkers are having a conversation. I'm just like sitting there, just like listening to it, and I'm just like, this has nothing to do with reality, or something like that. It's not always like that. You know, like I'm at such peace with myself, like I don't really have a whole lot to say. Sometimes, like that's why I'll do these podcasts, or like if I'm fucking around with somebody, yeah, like I'll fuck around. But like really, when it comes to like actually thinking about conversations that have nothing to do with like these unrealistic conversations, like yo, bro, what would you do if you had $1 million? Bro, I don't, like, that's so irrelevant to me, because it's like, dude, I don't know, bro. Like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do tomorrow. All I know is I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna figure it out, right? Because like I had to knock off all these side things, right? Like planning way far ahead, because everything changes, and that's like something that I had to learn when I started to like achieve this true inner peace. Is that like I would set plans, right, and something else would come up, and then I'd get upset, instead of just taking it for what it is. It is what it is. This time it's gonna be this, and I'll figure it out after that, right? So like there's all these outside things that you have to start worrying about at first, you know, and I feel like self-love is also very important for inner peace. And I feel like that's a lot of you know, a lot of energy to put into something, because self-love is very difficult to achieve when you don't have it, right? So, it comes with insecurity, it comes with, body dysmorphia, whatever the case may be, right? You don't like the way you look, you don't like the way you sound, you don't like the way you think, whatever, the list goes on, right? So, like, self-love is a very difficult thing to even achieve in the first place. But once you've learned how to achieve, your own self-love, it makes it a whole lot easier to have this acceptance, right? Because then you're like, I was wrong here, right? And it may not be right for what I did, and I sincerely apologize. Instead of like telling people like, oh, I'm sorry, especially if you say like constantly, it starts to hold no value, right? So like I always believe like actions will speak a hell of a lot louder than words, and if you're constantly saying like I'm sorry, like it's gonna get to a point in time where it's like you can sit here and say you're sorry until your face turns blue, but your actions are displaying a whole different thing. You know what I mean? So once you can learn how to accept, chalk it up. It is what it is. I have to do what's best for me, right? Because you will always be the most important person you have in your life. And you'll notice that once you start to like dial it back, right? Dial it back and figure out like, okay, what makes me tick? What makes me happy? And then a lot of people like, for example, like when I struggled with depression, nothing made me happy, right? Nothing made me happy. So I had to figure out like, I had to go and explore, right? I had to explore, and I'm not saying like I'm gonna go, go cliff jumping or whatever. Like now I just start like that, but like that's because like what I mean is I had to explore inside of the depths of Anthony's mind, right? So I had to take a little while to just escape from not reality, like I was still going to work and doing what I needed to do, but when I get these times to myself, right, that's when I would start thinking, right? And I would start thinking about what makes me tick, right? Where have I been wrong in certain situations? How could I have handled situations betterly? There were so many different things that I had to think about in terms of like what is going to make me happy. Because once I started to really work on what makes me mad, who makes me mad, I could start crossing that off the list. I'm not saying like I'll cut you out, but I'm gonna know how you act, right? So like if I know you bring negative energy, and I have to speak to you, right? I know what to say and what not to say because I already know how you are as a person, and there's nothing that's going to change that. So I have to take that moment to really analyze the situation, and like I've always been like that, like very strategic, and like I always try to like analyze things, like even when I'm not talking, like my brain's going. And it's going, and people notice it all the time, and that's fine with me. I don't really care, but I feel like it was beneficial to me because when I started to work on myself, it made it a hell of a lot easier because I was able to think and really like strategize. Like I played with my like emotions like it was like a chess game, right? So I did all of this work. It was knocking things down, knocking them down, right? Down in check. Okay. So check for me was I've worked on all these outside things, like my ego, my pride, self-awareness, humility, gratitude, hope, and hope in itself is huge, like real, especially like when you have a whole line of shitty situations going on and you just are like what the fuck is the point in life? You know, that I have no purpose on being here. Life is ass if it's just gonna continue to be like this, instead of, you know, taking it like it is what it is, you know, especially because of like my age, and like the gentleman that I spoke to was a younger gentleman too, so it's like the thing that you're thinking about, how your life's ass and like it's gonna be a joke, right? You're only in like chapter, you know, let's call it 3 of like however fucking old you might be. So chapter 3 of fucking whatever. And you know, I use all these scenarios because I feel like it's a lot easier to grasp these certain situations if I'm talking about it as something else instead of like who I am, or like who you are, because it's not like I don't direct these towards like a specific person. But right, you're only in the beginning chapters, especially. I mean, it doesn't even really matter how old you are. Like, you've had bad chapters, you've had good chapters, maybe you've had stagnant chapters, but that doesn't mean that's how the book's gonna end, right? Because it could end on a good note. It could end on a bad note. You know, you never know. Like, life's not perfect. Life happens. You know, and you have to learn how to have these tools to deal with certain situations that life throws your way, you know. And I know a lot of strong people who have endured a lot, like worse situations that I've endured, and I've seen them with true peace. And that right there inspires me, because it makes me know that it's possible. That right there is what gives me hope, to be like, okay, word, this is actually happening, can actually be possible for me. It can be possible for you. You know, it just really matters on how bad you really want it, right? Because I used to think life was a joke, it is pointless, and I don't care about my life, your life, no one's life. And now it's not like that. I value my life, I value my time, I value the people who are in my life. But I also am at a place of peace where it's like, if you're messing up my peace and my happiness, I'm not going to keep you around. And it might sound selfish, it might not, but like when you get to this point, right, especially because like I've lost my peace from certain situations, and it was hard, because then I had to start that whole chessboard over again, right? I was playing from the beginning, and once I was in check again, re-looking at, re-evaluating, I couldn't, you know, hit checkmate, and now I have, right? But that doesn't mean the game's over, right? There's still a lot more plays to go on, you know? Just like with fighters, you have to protect your belt, right? So, and what I mean by that is, like, there's going to be situations that are going to test your patience, it's going to test your humility, and there's only one true way to, like, go forward about it, and that's to play the field correctly, you know where you stand, right? Because that's something like a lot of people don't really give a fuck about, like knowing where they stand. Your head's so far down your ass that way, or it's completely in the clouds over there. You know, you don't not exactly in the time and moment of where you need to be to figure out, like, okay, this is what it is. Chalk it up as an L. It is what it is. Move on. And certain situations you're not going to really want to, or don't think you will be able to move on from. And it makes it very difficult, especially when it's like a serious situation, especially if it's like with a loved one or something like that. It makes it a lot harder to accept the fact that, like, this is happening and it's your reality, you know. But there's always a step forward. There's always going to be a step forward. If you let yourself drag you into this deep pit of, you know, like depression and like I'm not worth anything and, you know, my life's worthless and this and that, then, you know, you're gonna believe it. And it's funny because you'll subconsciously believe whatever you tell yourself. There's actually studies on this that, like, if I tell myself I ain't shit every single day, I'm never gonna be shit, right, and I keep on with that attitude for months on end, I'm gonna believe it. Wholeheartedly, I'm gonna believe it. and I'll put myself in such a deep place, and that was like me being the problem, running myself off like my willpower, thinking like I got this, dude. Well, I definitely didn't, and I think, not even I believe, being able to ask for help is a strength, right? This is a strength. It's not a weakness. It is so much easier to keep everything on the inside and not talk about it with anybody, right? So once you learn how to take like these baby steps forward, because that's what I had to do, because I was constantly boom, blowing up everywhere, breaking everything, whatever the case may be, right? Like, I was hot-headed, I always had a temper, and that was from, like, me thinking, Anthony's got this, he's good, everything's gonna be good, I'm gonna figure it out, I'm smart, and I'm not saying, like, I wasn't smart, the dumbest thing I did was think that I knew how to fucking handle everything, especially at the age that I was at, and the situations going on. So, right, I blow up, boom, everything's fucking chaos, dude. And it was already chaos, and I was just building it and building it and building it, and then it was just the one straw that broke the camel's back, and then boom, Anthony goes psycho, right? This sounds crazy, right? But like, it's the truth, right? Like that was my reality, and it's not like that no more. Like, at all. Like, it takes me a very long time for me to, like, you have to say certain things that are gonna really get under my skin, and most of the time it has to do, like, with my brother and my mom. Like, if you say certain things about them, that's what's gonna really get under my skin. But I don't even know why I just told you all that. But anyways, that's besides the fact, because like it depends on who you are too, honestly, because like if I don't know you and you're just like talking out the side of your neck, like, it is what it is, like, it just shows what type of person you are, because you have no ideas like what's going on. And I was actually watching this podcast the other day, and someone had said like they're like these people were talking down on me pretty much, right? And if they had a problem with me, they could have texted me, right? But they didn't have my number. So clearly, their opinion does not matter, because you don't truly know what's going on in my life if you're not that close. So you could look from an outside perspective, or whatever the case may be, and say like, oh, think whatever you want, say whatever you want. It's not going to really affect me, because it just shows what type of person you are. Because I know I'm doing what's best for me and the people who are around me, right? And I'm happy, I'm content with myself, I love what I do for work, I love my career, I love fighting, I love going to the gym, like, I love all these things that make me happy, and they're all healthy habits, right? None of the shit that I do is, like, an unhealthy habit, anymore. Like, so that's why when, like, people say whatever, like, unless you're, like, really close to me and you're saying something that's gonna get under my skin, then yeah, I'm gonna lose my serenity for a minute, and that's normally not like the best thing for me to do, because like I knew like if I continue to let this build up and build up and build up, I'm gonna blow up, right? And that's not the case anymore. So like once I started to work on like even talking the slightest bit, or like I said, I'm strategic. Like I'll throw something out there that really has nothing to do with anything, just to see how you react towards it. And I probably shouldn't say that, but that's how I operate, just to see, like, I don't know if it's like to see if I can trust you or whatever the case may be. But a lot of times, like, I'll just say certain things to see how you're gonna react towards it, and I'm not saying like it's a lie, like it's bullshit, but it's not really gonna have to do with anything that holds that much importance or value in my heart. But you start working on these little aspects, knocking them off one by one, right? Start talking, and it's not for everybody, right? A lot of different people have different ways to cope, but I found, once I slowly started opening up to people that I could trust, people that I could count on, people who only wanted to see me do better, right, I started to realize there are actually people in this world that actually just want to see you better, right? And it's not like a transactional relationship or anything like that. You know, it's not like what can he do for me or what can I do for him, right? Like if you're on my side, like I'm not gonna count favors. I just want you to reciprocate the same energy. Um, and I'm not saying like if I buy you something that's $20, I expect you to buy me something that's $20. It's just like if I got you and you don't got it, and then vice versa. Like I don't count favors. Like I just expect. Oh, that was horrible. I don't mean expect, but I just want you to like be able to have the same mindset that I do, and a lot of my friendships that I have right now it is that way, right? If I need something, I can reach out to them. If they need something, they can reach out to me, and it's never like we only talk when somebody needs something, right? So once I started talking to these people, slowly I would make my way, and I wouldn't just blurt out my whole entire life story and say, dude, like, what the fuck do I do, right? I would ask someone else's opinion on smaller matters. Someone who's smarter than me, wiser than me, I'd ask them, hey, what's your opinion on this? What do you think the best move is, right? And then I'm mad hard-headed, right? So when I first started doing this, I'd be like, I'd take their opinion, that sounds good. That actually sounds smart. I'm gonna do what I want to do anyways, right? Because that's just the way that I work. And man, I put myself in so many bad situations from doing that, right? Because I thought that Anthony was best. Clearly, I didn't, because if I did, I would have been doing better. So like now I'm at a place where it's like, I could talk and ask for opinions. What should I do here? And I still have that tendency of like saying, like, what do you think the best plan of action is? And one of my friends would say this, and this. I'd be like, yeah, word. That's actually what I was thinking. And then like the intrusive thoughts win, right? And then I'm just like, yep, Anthony's doing what Anthony wants to do. And like 9 times out of 10, like I always put myself in a bad situation. And it is what it is. Because like I said, like I'm not perfect. I will try to be perfect. Never gonna be perfect. I just try to be better, because that's like all I really can do, right? So there's so many outside variables that have to deal with inner peace, right? So you have to start working on them from the outside. Find them from the outside, go to the in. Once you've made contact with your inner self, right, that's when you can truly start to do that work. That's when you can really analyze what's going on with you on the inside. What can you do to really find this peace? And you're not gonna really know you have it, right, when you acquire it. Right, you're just gonna be in a state of happiness. For me, like I was happy, and I came off very monotone. Right, but it had nothing to do with like me being monotone. I was just at such peace that like everything was so irrelevant towards me. Unless like I was having like a serious conversation with somebody, or like fucking off, like yeah, I wouldn't act like that. But like if it was just shooting the shit and it had nothing to do with anything, then like I just didn't really care, like. Unless we're talking about like something that's gonna hold weight, whether it be like businessing, investing, whatever the case may be, right? And I have a lot of friends that when we talk, like we don't talk shit about other people. We talk about business. We talk about expanding, how to be better, how to move forward, how to create a name for ourselves, especially because a lot of my friends came from nothing, right? So that's why I do shit like this, because I know what it feels like to have nothing, and I know what it feels like to be taken advantage of, right? And that's not the case today. Anybody can have peace. you just have to start working on the outside aspects, right? Find what's disturbing you, start crossing them off, one by one, right? Play this little game of chess, knock shit down, right? And then once you're in check, make the right moves, put yourself in checkmate, and you won't have to. Hopefully, you won't have to do it again. You know, I did, but that's because I'm hard-headed. I don't listen, and I feel like a lot of people who listen to this probably don't listen either. But that's okay. You know, it can happen. You just have to try. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, I spoke 10 more minutes than I should have, but it's fine. Other than that, it's been real. I'm actually gonna get people on. I keep saying this, but like I honestly don't like being around people, and I'm like always busy. So like, yeah. But I'm probably gonna get somebody to come on next time I see somebody, or I mean not see somebody, but like I have a couple people who've been asking to come on, and I'm like, yeah, man, yeah, and then I'm just like, fuck that, fuck them. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna try and sit here and justify anything. It is what it is. Shit happens. Life on life's terms. Yeah. So I'll try and get somebody to come on. I have a couple people who want to. I just need to engage in the effort of asking them to. But other than that, yeah, it's been real. If you didn't like it, oh well. If you like it, congratulations. I don't know what to say. There'll be more. And if you don't, then I don't know why you watch me, dude. Like, you're just being a fan right now, kid. Alright, you know.